take it all in my mind. Derek Walker, who you might think, Bach, would be the star of this game, was not. He did not that he didn't play great or play well, but only 9 points. He did have 11 rebounds, so that part of it was very good. Again, Jamarcus Lawrence, I should say, got Nebraska off to a hot start, kind of continued it, hit a big couple of threes in the second half. He gets 15 points on 5 of 9 shooting. Tamanaga starts hot, but only ends with 11 in this game. Nice performance for him, but he sat for 10 minutes in that game when Sam Hoiberg was in. And if anybody's the hero for me, Bach, it might be Hoiberg again. I mean, he came in when Tamanaga went out, and he scored 9 points. He hadn't scored in the first half. He's 3 of 5 for the game, 2 of 3 from 3 points from the 3 line, I should say. He missed a couple of free throws, but I thought he just always seems to make the right play.
Yeah, especially that charge block called there at the end. I think.
What do you think? Was that a bad call?
Yeah, Iowa fans might not be happy about it, but one way or the other, it is Sam Hoiberg again in on a very key play. Of course, if he would have made that, if they would have called that the other way, he would have made that and got the 3. Then Nebraska's only up 1 at that point, and then don't know what would happen. But obviously, his next missed free throws. I know he's not going to be happy with his missed free throws down the stretch. They're going to have to continue to work on that. But I agree. I think he was kind of once again the difference down the stretch. There's another key play there where he tapped the ball out, got an offensive rebound for Nebraska, which most of the game we were talking about offensive rebounds for Iowa, which is going to be a problem we're going to have to address in this one. But so I mean, it's again him just kind of making some of the smaller plays, throughout the game, and then the big plays down the stretch that really kind of maybe make you think of him as kind of the leading guy here. But it was really a team effort. A lot of everybody really pitching in today.
Postgame brought to you by Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Action Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. I believe the Hall of Famer, Strick, is with us. Strick.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm here. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was I honestly did not expect this. I thought Nebraska had a real shot at home to beat Michigan State. I didn't think they had a great shot today to beat Iowa on the road. And a sweep of Iowa this season. This is a good Iowa team. This is an impressive win.
I would have to say I beg to differ, Tom. I actually thought they had a chance. I actually thought they had a chance watching the play that they could have won their last few games. I was talking with Nick Sainer because we were doing state tournament games, and I was saying, and even with Austin prior to this week of games or before they even played Michigan State, and I said, listen, they can do something special, and that would be a conversation if I was a coach. I'm like, hey, you guys are set up to do something special. You have senior day at home. You can go on the road and do something tremendous and put yourself in a position. If you can make a little run in this Big Ten, you could be having a conversation about 20 wins and now having a conversation of being on the bubble. I'm saying that's the kind of conversation, and that's the thought that I had going into these last few games. But I will say this, though, Tom. I was frustrated because I'm thinking there's no way they can win this game by giving up 21 offensive rebounds.
Crazy.
All of the second chance points that they gave up, points off turnovers like 15. Everything looked like this is a lose-lose situation by the way that they're playing. And me and Bach, I mean, we've seen this happen all throughout the season. Whenever they do things like this, they usually don't come out. I'm impressed. I mean, shooting 55 from 2 in the first half, 53 from 3, that saved them. Their shooting today saved them, which is something you can't say that this team right. I mean, you say they have shooters, you all talk about it. It's a lot of coach speak. You got all that stuff going on. But God darn it, the Rutgers game and this game, they showed up and they showed out as far as shooting that ball. And it's very impressive that they were able to pull this game out. I didn't think they would be able to do it with the way that they were playing.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a perfectly played game for Nebraska and led to a lot of frustrations. Thank God, Rebraka in on the lead there with 5 offensive rebounds for Iowa. It was his senior night. He's been kind of a terror for Nebraska over his career over there at Iowa, and for a lot of Big Ten teams as far as fighting for rebounds. But so I mean that was a problem. And then you kind of think too, if Iowa kind of goes as far as their shot will take them, right? I mean they're a very dangerous team, like we saw in the first half when they ended up with a 4-point lead. Hitting 9 threes and Patrick McCaffrey couldn't miss. I mean, he had a 4-point play even. And then in the second half, I think they shot 3 of 16 from beyond the arc. So again, sometimes you look at, what the difference in the ball game. A lot of times it's a make or miss type of league. And Iowa just couldn't get the shots, even though they had a lot of pretty good looks again off those offensive rebounds. So like you're kind of saying, Strick, ultimately, there's a lot they can kind of clean up out of this game. But ultimately for Nebraska now, 5 out of their last 6, 5 wins out of 6 down the stretch. And I think that, again, that loss that they had, at least one half of that loss was probably the best half of basketball I've seen all season. So this team is hot. I mean, you talk about being hot going into the tournament. I know they're still playing on Wednesday. Looks like a matchup with Minnesota is now pretty all but etched there. And I think that's better for Nebraska's NIT opportunities. You need another win, maybe even just to clear 500. You think if you win one, lose
nice
one,
with the day off,
the Big
but,
Ten. Yeah,
and actually they did have a chance going in today to get to the 10th seed. I should say Nebraska needed to beat Iowa, which they did. They also needed Penn State to lose, and they win at the buzzer. That was a good game, Maryland, Penn State. They would have needed Wisconsin to beat Minnesota, but that was going to probably happen. But nonetheless, this team's playing great basketball. I mean, if you would have told me a month ago they're going to be don't worry, Tom, they're going to be 16-15 and 9-11 in the league, you'd have said I'm nuts. I mean, absolutely crazy. In fact, you might have argued that the coach won't even be here next year. And I still say Sam Hoiberg has saved Fred Hoiberg's job. But you could make a lot of arguments, guys, for the player of the game. Where does your argument start, Strick?
Oh, for Sam Hoiberg?
No, just with anybody. Pick anybody for the player of this game.
Well, I mean, see, that's the thing. I mean, it goes back to this team being who they are. I mean, it's going to be somebody else at a different point at different times and throughout the night. I would venture to say you can make a bid for Breidenbach. Breidenbach was feisty. He made right plays, good drives, under control, made plays to Derek Walker, hands on balls, rebounds. He was doing all the things that I would say would be the most valuable part of Breidenbach for this team. And that's doing a lot of those little types of things with his size and ability. So I would throw a bid in for him as well.
Yeah, I think you look at everybody down, there's just the shot performance better than 50% from everybody on the court except for Derek Walker, who almost had a triple-double. So Derek Walker shot 50% today, 3 of 6 from the floor to finish with 9 points, 8 assists, and 11 rebounds.
And
so,
only 3 turnovers too, Bach. So that's phenomenal because his turnover numbers can usually get up there. He's figured that out too.
Well, yeah, and with Blaze Keita being injured, we didn't know what we were going to get with Breidenbach coming into this game. I wonder what Derek Walker's, I don't have it in front of me, but his minutes in that game, because I don't know if he came
37.
out. If he did, yeah, it was not for long. So I mean, he was battling out there, and so I mean, that's probably where I'd go. Griesel led the team with 16 points, but he had 14 in the first half. So it was just kind of it's again a team effort, but not it's not one of the It's weird. I mean, because they shot so well. It's not one of those like gritty, this defensive minded Nebraska team that we've kind of got in our head now. This was a good shooting team that didn't rebound, but I mean, their shooting overcame it today.
Yeah. And then look at the free throws too, Tom. And listen, the man works at it, but I'm telling you, I had just a slight conversation with him. D, this is what you're doing on your free throws, bro. They change that. Just work on it. And who would have said Derek Walker is going to shoot better than Sam Hoiberg as far as free throws?
And tell us what you told him on his free throws.
I told him, I said, Derek, I said, you have a nice stroke. There's nothing wrong with your shot. There's nothing wrong with your the look of it. It's very solid as far as his technique is involved. I just said, you're shooting with 2 motions, meaning he's going down, he's going up, holding and pushing, and it's making it very flat. I said, just make it one motion, set it and just go. And then you're going to be more consistent.
You told him that before the Wisconsin game.
Yes.
in that game, he made like 7 or 8 in a row. I think he made 9 of 11.
9 of 11. Yeah.
And that was one of the big reasons for the comeback. They were down
Yeah.
17 in the second half, and Derek hitting his free throws. I thought he did a good job with that today. Nebraska only took 8 free throws, but they were 5 of 8. Actually, Iowa had the problem from the free throw line. They were 11 of 17, 64%. But if I would have just told you the stats, Nebraska shoots 58%, 14 of 26 from 3, 53% from 3. You might look at the stats and think Nebraska, knowing that Iowa shot 36%, knowing they probably won by 20. But it was the offensive rebounds that kept the second chance points that kept Iowa in that game.
Absolutely, Tom. And listen, there's no way you could have expected Iowa, as hot as they've been playing, coming home on a senior night to shoot that bad. So you've got to give credit. This is something that a lot of the announcers haven't done. A lot of the people that have been talking as far as doing the TV shows for them, the analysts, as well as the play-by-play guy, they haven't been given no credit to Nebraska. Nebraska is playing great defense. The only thing that they didn't do is they could have, like you said, Tom, they could have blew them out of the water. They could have just blown them out. But a good thing that happened for them is their second chance points could have been way. This always happens whenever you get that rebound, you kick it back out. It's normally the second or the third time that happens, they make them. They just weren't doing that tonight. That saved Nebraska, and they were able to pull out a gritty win. And you can't see me gritty, but I'm grittying right now. They pulled out a very gritty win today. I mean, that's a great way to pull out a win. You've done it in multiple facets of winning games, which is going to help your team for the future, even though it may have a postseason opportunity as well.
Think about this. Nebraska in November in football beats Iowa. In December, beats Iowa in basketball, and now ends the season by beating Iowa. A straight sweep of the Hawkeyes. And the Hawkeyes, by the way, were playing for the 2 seed. It's big in the air. I think Iowa's out of it with this loss, but you got Northwestern, Iowa, Indiana, Michigan, all playing for that number 2 seed for the tournament.
And they did the same thing to Wisconsin last year. Wisconsin was playing for the 2 seed last year, and Nebraska came and wiped them out and took the 2 seed away from them too.
It's nice to ruin their year, right? They're going to the Big Ten championship, not so fast. You're getting the 2 seed. Wait, maybe not.
Well,
it's just nice to spoil.
And of
Iowa's
course, in
year.
football, you knocked them out of the Big Ten championship.
That's what I mean.
So, yeah, they're probably not too happy with Nebraska. That puts a little heat on that rivalry. But ultimately, again, this is the final game of the regular season. You get ready for postseason play. So I know at some point we can kind of do a season roundup here. But again, Nebraska 9 conference wins. I just go back to that kind of what you were saying, Tom. There was a time after the Bandamel-Gary injuries, and of course the Bandamel was second there. Nebraska was kind of adjusting. They're on a losing streak. They just couldn't get the wins, and you're kind of thinking, I don't know, they might get 1 or 2 by the end of the season, but to rally off 5 of 6 here is incredibly impressive. And of course, this all started with a win over Penn State. So, I mean, this is about as good as far as momentum as the team's had under Hoiberg. And I'm interested to see, I was going to look it up, if their shooting percentage from beyond the arc was better this year, or ends up better than what it had in any of the previous years, which is funny because this was the philosophy change to the defensive more approach than the shoot as much as you can get, so it's kind of interesting that this team, but we didn't think of it as a shooting team really, but has been shooting really well.
That was 3 teams ago, Bach.
Right.
That was the team that had Bandamel and Gary, and we knew their strengths were not shooting.
Yeah.
It was playing defense, their length, and sometimes, getting to the rim, that type of thing. I thought Gary was great getting to the rim. But I've asked you guys this before. Do you take the uninjured version of Nebraska or this version that includes Jamarcus Lawrence that wasn't playing before?
Sam Hoiberg.
Sam Hoiberg wasn't playing before. It's kind of freed up Tamanaga having more shooters on the floor, I think. I think I would take this team over that team, even with all it still has faults. It doesn't play the kind of defense that team did, and it certainly doesn't rebound like that team. But wow, shooting makes up for a lot, right?
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think I actually like this team, but I like the size of the other team. And as you said, Tom, the toughness of Gary, the hardness of Bandamel as far as defensively, but offensively, you're not losing as much. It's good to finally see CJ Wilchers playing a little bit different. He's given a lot more effort on the defensive side of things as well. Their rotations are a lot crisper as well. But you're getting a chance to see your younger players get seasoned, and that's something that's invaluable when you're talking about this Husker team. It's invaluable.
Do we have a call? I picked up the phone earlier.
There was on the text line. Somebody looked that up. I haven't been able to track it down. When was the last time that Nebraska has been over 500 to end the season? I want to say it was back with Tim Miles.
Wasn't it his last year?
His last year. Maybe
his last year. They went on that bit of a run in Chicago in the Big 12 tournament, or Big 10 tournament, I should say.
Johnny Trubel.
And remember, Tim runs out and he trips over the mat on national TV. I kind of missed him. And by the way, doing a really good job right now in college basketball is Tim Miles. But this team is by far the most fun team that Nebraska's had to watch. I would say even I would rank it right up there right now. As much fun as I'm having watching basketball to 2014, No Sit Sunday. I kind of thought it would be a no-sit Tuesday on Tuesday versus Michigan State. It wasn't quite that. The crowd was great. Nebraska played, I thought, its best first half in years.
Yeah.
And it's weird to say, but as well as they played today, this is the best I've seen them shoot in years. But this isn't the best total game, right, guys? Or was it?
Oh, no. I don't think it was the best total game. And I'll let Bach elaborate on that, but I don't think it was their best total game. I want to say one of their best games that I think, totally, especially unexpected, with a great defensive team. I think I want to say the Rutgers game for me was phenomenal. To put up 80 points against that Rutgers team on the road and they rarely lose there in Piscataway. So that was for me was a good one.
I like the Maryland win in overtime. The 17-point comeback to Wisconsin were fun, but they didn't play great for half of those games. As far as wins, total wins, Creighton's, it's always fun to beat Creighton, and especially at Creighton. Oh, yeah. And then to beat Iowa, I think most people would point to today just the fact that you swept Iowa for the year and say, we hate Iowa, so this is the best win. Because it's always, at the end, that's the feeling you have. And this is so people are going to point back probably at this season and say that was their best win. And maybe it was because it probably gets you on the bubble. It definitely gets you on the bubble of the NIT, and who knows where you could go from there. I just don't think it was their best total performance.
I want to also just say that, you ran off a few of them, Tom, but their wins against, tier twos and some tier ones were enough, I think, for me, because you look at the schedule, this team, like you said, with all the adversity, the schedule that they had, this could have been a real ugly season. And I just want to give a hand clap to Fred Hoiberg and that staff, because they could have gave in, threw in the towel, and was just like, hey, what can we do? But they did not, and they gave confidence to those young men in that room, and to be able to have the sack to go to his son the way that he went with his son, and the way for him to step up and play. No one would have expected that. I love the underdog story, so it's a good one for me.
It's a great story, and I've told Bach this before. It's odd that you have a coach that's criticized for not playing his son, right? We always criticize coaches for playing their son too much.
Too much.
we criticize maybe right now because where was he all year? That guy came in without scoring in the second half, drains a three on a nice pass from Walker, inside out thing. He drains another three, hits a couple of big free throws. He drew the charge down the stretch, which you're a former official. Was that seemed like Nebraska got one there?
Well, what I will say is he needed to be established before McCaffrey started to elevate. It looked to me as McCaffrey started to elevate, there was a little shift. You can go side to side and retreat, but it was a feet shift as opposed to a body shift. And so I think that's what you could have got a block on that. But it's a bang bang. That's a 50-50, and that's a discretionary call. So he could have went either way on that. I thought he was evasive a little bit too, as evading the contact enough to either get a no call or a possible block.
Well, it was a big call. I think they gave it to him because he was there early, but I thought he slid a little bit, and he was also outside. That's one of the things they went to the monitor to see if he was outside the circle. He was definitely outside the circle, but he's one of those guys, coach's son, just you wonder how he can finish at the rim, which he did today.
Yeah.
How he does what he does with that size. How would you answer that? Because he doesn't look like a guy that should be able to beat his guy, and yet he consistently does.
Well, he's fundamentally sound, right? He understands time, distance. He understands space. So a guy crowding, he understands that if I get a guy on a low closeout, I can rip through, go middle, put him on my shoulder. He's strong. You can tell he's been in the weight room. Strong shoulders, strong body, and he knows how to create space to allow him to be able to finish. And so he's worked on that stuff. And that's the thing that he understands. Time, space, how fast is a guy closing out? This is a good shot. They're closing me slow. I can pull. Those are the fundamental things that he understands about the game that's helping him to be able to be effective.
Postgame sponsored by Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits, North 27th Street, and Action Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Big win for Nebraska as they improve to 11-9. The Big Ten, they secure still a first day. They had a chance to get to that second day on Thursday, but they will be playing Wednesday. I believe, I don't have the time on that, but I believe they're going to be playing Minnesota in the and you know what's that kind of gives you a good chance to win that first game, and maybe that's good. You win that game. I think maybe they're in anyway to the NIT at a 500 club. Do you think they're in as a 500 club?
I think they are. I think their resume is definitely strong enough. The wins that they've had and against who they've had them in one of the tougher conferences right now, as they view it. I would think so. I mean, getting close to 500 as far as in your win totals in conference, but also having an over 500 number with your non-conference wins that you had. I think they've got a good shot at it. I will say that Sanford's shot saved them too. Coming down and just pulling that shot from three, didn't really have a look, just kind of off the fly, fading forward.
Right.
Whoo! I mean, because at that point, they didn't have nobody down there to be able to set up to get an offensive rebound, which they've been dominating. You would think that you want to kind of get in there a little something, give your guys a chance to get down there. You've been dominating on an offensive rebound. And what better three to take if you miss one than the ones where you get the rebound and kick it back out, which is normally the ones that you like. So I think that kind of helped Nebraska a little bit too, because that kept them with a nice lead. I think
talking about our heroes of the game. Walker had a nice game rebounding, 11 points, but only 11 rebounds, but only 9 points. You got Jamarcus Lawrence, who got Nebraska started again. He is a gifted freshman, 15 points in the game. Tamanaga was really guarded pretty well and had 11 points in the game. You had C.J. Wilcher step up with 12 points. You had Sam Griesel in the first half play really well. Didn't do as well in the second half, but still 16 points to lead the way.
Efficient, too. And he's efficient. He's been playing efficient.
He's just he kind of knows when. I think he's got a better feel right now in this part of the season when to take over and when to, kind of just be a part of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a learning curve. You can definitely tell the maturity of his game from what it looked like earlier in the season to what it is now, where teams were able to get him sped up. He's understanding pace of the game, changes of pace, when to push, when to post. And I think that's been something that's phenomenal. I'll tell you something that's I watched with Jamarcus today. Came off of a strong pick and roll, found himself in the middle. Derek Walker was open for a minute, but what they do is they hover the court. He understood that I know where my guy's open. That's what Nebraska's got to do better. And that's you saw the difference between when CJ Wilcher did that and he turned the ball over because he got caught and didn't know where to go. Where Jamarcus, the growth of him, he got in, he knew they were going to crash down on Derek Walker, even though he was open. He throws one way across his body, knowing that Sam Hoiberg was right there waiting, and he knocks down a big three. That's growth in your program. That's the type of stuff that I see, that I like to see with this team.
I think it's called development. You're right. It looks like Jamarcus Russell is doing that. Honda of Lincoln.
Demarcus, I do the same thing. Tom. So I can't fault you. Lawrence, I do the same thing. I say Russell all the time.
I don't know why I do that. Jamarcus Lawrence, who I think will be a star. Let's go to the Starter Heyman text. Actually, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and take a call. Hi there. Who's this?
Hey, this is Bruce Morgan.
Hey.
Just wanted to say that you guys mentioned that the team could have thrown the towel in to the fight. We had to bring younger guys, but what more than to get put into action? I get it. Sometimes a lot of guys that you just throw in there that really don't play. But Nebraska and Fred Hoiberg and Mitch Stack, I'm just so proud of everybody. I love the Big Red. I hope that we can get an NIT. If we don't, I just want to say go out there and let's win a couple of games.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe we get an NIT.
There you go. We got to get out that bad phone line there, but we appreciate the phone call. We got another one coming in.
Yeah, we've got, I believe, Brian here on the
Hey,
Honda
Brian.
of Lincoln hotline.
Hi, Brian.
Gentlemen and gentlemen, go Big Red.
Go
How
Big
you guys
Red.
doing?
Good.
Good. I mean, it was a beautiful game. I mean, the thing that I really looked at is just our fight. I mean, I think Strick was talking about it too, and I was looking at it I was waiting for the bottom to fall out. I'm sorry I didn't mean to think that way, but I mean, they have so many offensive rebounds. So we just kept answering and we spread the ball around. I mean, the way we passed the ball was just amazing. I mean, to get it to the people, Casey didn't have a big game, which is fine. I mean, we can't always rely on him, but we just passed the ball around and our defense did what they needed to. And I mean, I'm just proud of these guys. They just fight. And I mean, I'm really excited for Hoiberg, both of them, because they both just do what we need to do as Huskers. I mean, it's really awesome to see.
Yeah, thanks for the call there. They're on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. I think that's a good point. Is there was a lot of, Nebraska did have to fight in this game, and there again, there's ugly parts of this. 15 total turnovers, a lot of unforced ones there. Nebraska, at this point in the season, you want to say it has to get cleaned up, but it's pretty toward the end of the season. So I mean, hopefully, you just play your best ball at this time of the year, and they shot well. But I mean, this was a game that again, Nebraska was trailing at halftime, not just that, but basically throughout the game. And, they'd have the runs. Iowa would have, their answer for it more often than not until Nebraska eventually took the lead and, just grinded it out. And so I think that's it's kind of it's funny to say that because this is, again, just wasn't your typical grind out game as far as, great defense and creating turnovers and getting rebounds and they just outshot them. But at the end of the day, I guess there's different ways to say grinding out.
You know what? This has been fun. It feels like Nebraska is I think Strick is right. Whether they win another game, I think it would feel a lot better if they were to beat Minnesota, if that's who they play on Wednesday, and at least are guaranteed to be a team that's over 500. But it feels like, even with all the guys leaving, I understand Griesel's gone, Walker's gone. You got your, Bandamel is gone. It feels like if you can just prove even to yourself that you can win at this level, maybe it can turn the entire program around. I mean, have you seen that happen where guys move on, maybe in your NBA career, guys move on from free agency, but you've already established a winning culture a little bit. So guys coming in got to gravitate to that as well.
I mean, yeah, you definitely see that. And that's what, veteran leadership and then the learning curve of your youth. If you've got a good balance of veteran leadership and youth kind of merging in together where your leadership core. And so that's why I'm saying that it's invaluable that they had who they had, Griesel, Bandamil, Gary, those guys early on, because they established something. Their leadership of Griesel and Bandamil coming in, the defensive identity, all those things that leadership group did, they changed that along with the coaching staff. And in that change, it allowed the younger group to understand what their responsibilities are and what their accountabilities are as well. And they've come in and now they're getting their opportunity and they're making the most of it. And so, yes, you can see that all the time, Tom, but it depends on what you're coming into. I've come into a losing culture and had to change that.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do, but they've done it in less than a year, and that's phenomenal.
Nebraska baseball played the number one team in the country today. Big win, of course, over Vandy on Friday night, 5-3. They knock off Hawaii yesterday, 12-3 in Minneapolis. What's the Cambria Classic, something like that, in Minnesota. Some good quality competition. I think Nebraska's strength of schedule is like top 5 in the country. Their RPI is way up there. But it doesn't look like they're going to win today, although it's still early. 10-4 in the 6th against the national champion and number 1 team currently. Are they, or are they number 4?
They're number 4.
They're number 4 currently, Ole Miss. But they won the national title last year, and they've already beaten Vandy in this tournament. So as a baseball player, that's got to be good music to your ears, Strick.
Yeah, definitely. They had a tough schedule. They've had a tough start. But at the end of the day, this is a really good team. But they're going to learn a lot from that. Playing against that quality of a program, there's things that they're going to be able to learn from that. They're going to get an idea of what they're pitching and all that stuff. They're still trying to work out a lot of those kinks. But those are 2 good wins out there, Vandy and Hawaii, for that tournament.
And a great win for Nebraska basketball today. 81-77. I thought some of the missed free throws down the stretch might hurt Nebraska, but Iowa missed their share as well. Only 11 of 17. That was probably their big Achilles heel. Nebraska giving up, 21 second chance points or whatever it would. Actually, more than that. It was probably in the 30s, but so many second chance points via the rebound. They were really dominated on the offensive rebounding and the boards today, because you look at the rest of the stats, you would have thought Nebraska would have won by 20. But they didn't. They hung on. And it's fun to talk about wins, especially over Iowa.
Well, and I think, too, the defense down the stretch is going to have to get quite a look, because we're talking about how Nebraska just kind of had to fight. They're always a few points behind in this game, and Iowa always seemingly had the answer. I think Iowa's last made field goal was with about 6 minutes to go in the game. So, I mean, you talk about maybe not the best defensive performance, of course, not the best rebounding performance for Nebraska, but pretty much put the clamps on them down the stretch. They hit some free throws. But yeah, I think their last made layup was a Chris Murray field goal. I should say it was a layup from Chris Murray with about 6 minutes to go that gave Iowa the 71-70 lead.
I'm not going to miss. Are the McCaffrey brothers almost done with their eligibility? It seems like they've been there 15 years.
Yeah.
Kirk Ferentz, Fran McCaffrey. Are there 2 more dislikable coaches coaching basketball and football at their school
together? No, I'm not. I
don't think that's even possible. But Iowa's a good basketball team. I mean, that's a team that averages 80 points a game. Michigan State kind of did to them what they did to us. They were way up. What was it? They were up 12, I believe, or 10 against Iowa.
Like a minute and something left, like a minute and 30 or something crazy.
And Iowa hit 5 straight threes to close out that game. I thought that maybe Nebraska beats Michigan State had they not been so angry coming to Lincoln.
I agree.
Because I thought they played really. That's about as good of a first half as you'll ever see. I think maybe Michigan State's as talented as anybody in this league.
Well, they got good guard play, Tom. That's where their strength is. When you've got good guard play, that's what I think was most disappointing about that game for me is, what Hoggard wants to do, right? He wants to get deep and find guys, and we just continue to and we didn't change our strategy. I think that was probably it. Just continued to be the same. Hoggard just wants to find guys, make him shoot. I'd make him score. I'd make Hoggard score 30. But instead of him passing, I think he's not as dangerous in scoring that way, as opposed to him finding guys that he was able to find. And then there was just some bad rotation stuff. Where you should stunt. You never leave Hauser. It's like, don't leave him. He's one of their best shooters.
That'd be crazy.
You
in that
stunt game. And return to him. Make the other guy beat you.
No, you don't go for fake. See, and that's what the Tominaga effect that it says. You can't leave him. But Nebraska did leave Hauser, and I thought that really cost them in that particular game. But they win today, 81-77. Other games in the Big Ten. Penn State is a big reason Nebraska is going to be playing day number 1 on Wednesday. They won it at the buzzer versus Maryland. That was a good game. Maryland almost won it on the road, and Nebraska needed Maryland to beat Penn State to have a chance to get to that 10 seed, but they'll still be playing on Thursday. Purdue beats Illinois today, 76-71. Later
Comeback
on,
for them too.
yeah.
I'm scared of Purdue, Tom. Just real quick, I'm scared. They haven't shown me a dominating factor. They could get hot and get on a run, but I'm still scared to. Bracket's going to get filled out real soon. I'm scared.
Yeah, the one team that you kind of think maybe if there's a team that has a chance to get to a Final Four, maybe it's Purdue. But Nebraska should have beaten Purdue earlier this year at home. Purdue's a good team. They don't strike me as a great team, and with young guards, I think you can kind of maybe get in their head in the NCAA tournament. We'll see. I still think that Michigan State could make some noise if they start to play like they have been in the last few games. We'll see, though, who even gets that number 2 seed. As we mentioned, Iowa was in it. I think Nebraska eliminates Iowa from the 2 seed. So you've still got Northwestern, Indiana, Michigan all playing for that 2 seed. So we'll see what happens. But Nebraska, pick your hero today. It was really tough to pick a guy that I thought was the hero because they all contributed so much. You mentioned Breidenbach. You could throw him out there. I didn't think he had a good first half, but comes back, makes a great pass to Walker. He hits a 3, he had a layup that he had made after getting a rebound. 4 of 7 from the field. He had 4 rebounds. A rough first half, but he gets 9 points. Sam Hoiberg obviously didn't score in the first half. He gets 9 points in the second half. You could argue Griesel was your guy because he handled the ball the entire game. He gets 16 points. He was the team high leader in that category. But C.J. Wilcher, who has really not made a lot of threes, but he hit one big toward the end of that game, mostly driving to the layup, though. He was 5 of 7 from the field. He had 12 points. Tamanaga with a nice game, but not a great game with 11 points. We talked about Jamarcus Lawrence with his 15 and Walker, but I don't know. Who would you say? I mean, seriously, you're not going with Breidenbach as your player of the game. Or are you, Strick? Is he there? I think it's up there. I think we might have lost his
I was
title.
saying you can make a push for him. When you just really break it down, you can really make a push for him to be that. But I mean, there's so many guys that you can go with in this game, maybe because
that's what's fun
different
about
times, right? I mean, you could look at Derek Walker almost having a triple-double, even though scoring-wise it's not that. But what was the best effect in this game for them to be able to do that? You could say Sam Griesel with the consistency that he played with. So it's tough to say. I would defer and let Bach kind of do that one.
Bach, it's your decision.
Well,
Player of the game.
I think C.J. Wilcher should get some credit too. He made some plays down the stretch.
So. Yeah.
Hit that big open 3 that he had an opportunity to hit. So, like I said, I mean, it's just a team performance. I'd probably ultimately, it's just tough. I mean, like I want to go with Derek Walker because again, he had 9 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists. But I guess the problem with him is Nebraska. The kind of downside of this game is Nebraska didn't win the rebounding battle, and of course he's the primary big involved in that. So it's tough to pick him out, and that's fine. I mean, we'll take a win any way you can get it. Tamanaga going off certainly is fun, but he kind of had his stretch. Lawrence had his stretch. Griesel again had 14 of his 16 points in the first half. So it was just kind of it was whoever. And it was kind of open, and whoever kind of had the shot, it's not like anybody was taking a whole lot more shot attempts than the other guys today either. It was pretty well spread out. 10 attempts from Griesel, 9 from Tamanaga, 9 from Lawrence, 7 in there from Breidenbach, then 6 from Walker, 5 from Hoiberg. So this was just a balanced attack. And again, I think that is eventually where you want to see Nebraska take that next step, is building as a team, not just having a guy go off, which is nice. It's good to have, know who you need to go to. But if we're looking at this team to be more and more dangerous, you can't leave any of these guys open. And I don't know if Nebraska's right, at that point yet, but they had a pretty good day of it today.
You could make a case that they could go on a run, even having to play day number 1 in the Big 10 tournament on Wednesday, most likely against is it locked up against Minnesota?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's locked up against Minnesota. And, you could argue that there's chance for this team to get a little bit, healthier. Breidenbach wasn't ultimately really healthy, you were told, going into this game, although he did play pretty well. We know Blaise Keita hasn't been playing, and I think maybe they'll get him back next week. So you could make an argument maybe they haven't reached their potential. Yeah.
The issue with me is I would have liked him got the first day bye. The issue for me on it, you're right. I think you can make a couple of game run. I just think 5 games in 5 days is Look, I've played. I can tell you how tough it was for 3 in one in succinct days. I don't care how long, how much time you've got. The recovery on playing 5 games, it's possible, but I don't think they have enough depth, and that's what's going to be the issue. Derek Walker playing 30 plus minutes, 5 straight days. That's tough, and it's gonna affect them in the areas that they need to play well, and that's definitely rebounding and doing a lot of stuff like that, and taking advantage of pushing the ball. They would totally have to be a different team, which is walk that ball up. Everything would have to be in half court, and they run a motion type of offense, so they're always running, cutting, and I just don't know. I think that's a lot to ask, for them to make a
you were on a team that won a postseason tournament, right? A team.
But we were deep.
Wasn't that 3 days though? Wasn't that only 3 days back then?
Yeah. It's 3.
Crazy.
Whew. 5 games. I don't care if it's at a doggone AAU tournament. 5 games in a short amount of time, and you're talking about full length. We're talking AAU, which the courts are shrunk. So you're talking not having to run that full distance. Then teams putting pressure, bumping and grinding, then a little sleep. Get back up, do it over again. Shoot, man. I don't care what anybody says. That's hard.
I just want to beat Minnesota, which you should expect to do, and then find a way to win on day number 2.
Yeah.
And then just make it entertaining after that.
Yeah. I think that's very possible with this team.
Yeah, they'll play the 5 seed coming out of that, which is going to be a team that's 11-9. I don't know. That could be anybody by the end of the day, but it could be Iowa again. So it'll be interesting to see.
Well, here's the thing. Nobody in this league really should scare you, right? In fact, I had this conversation. How well can this league do in the postseason? We talk a little Big Ten basketball at large, and where Nebraska fits into the conversation. Do that on the Hoops postgame show. And we'll be doing it for another 15 minutes or so. How late do you want to go, Bach?
Yeah, we got another 15,
20 minutes. And we'll come back with the Hall of Famer, Eric Strickland, Jake Bachhoven, and sitting in. Usually I do the rewind at this point of my life in the week. But today it's the Hoops postgame show. And Nebraska coming off a big win over Iowa today. We'll talk more about it coming up next.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to a best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts, guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Lake. Hopcat is your pregame headquarters for basketball and volleyball all season long. Hopcat is located at 6th and P in the Haymarket. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit www.hopcat.com.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to Oak Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Are you looking for a solid, stable career in assembly, CNC machining, or injection molding? We got you covered. Hi, Bob Williams, HR Director for Garner Industries, a world-class manufacturer with a 70-year history right here in Lincoln. And I just listed some great career opportunities that you can find by logging into GarnerIndustries.com. If you want top pay, excellent benefits, flexible work hours, and the opportunity to work in a clean, modern, air-conditioned facility with great people, contact me today by applying online at GarnerIndustries.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top-shelf liquor to crowd-favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
Back to the Tickets Basketball Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Hoops Post-Game Show. Nebraska with a 81-77 victory over the hated Iowa Hawkeyes for a season sweep as they took care of business there at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Huskers improved to 16-15, 9-11 in conference play is where they will finish as they get ready for their matchup with Minnesota, which will be Wednesday to kick off the the Big Ten tournament. Actually, they'll be playing after the 13-12 seeds play each other. So that'll be the nightcap for that night. If you're kind of getting ready for it, I was just looking it up. 5:30 is the first game. So 25 minutes after the conclusion of game one, Nebraska will be playing Minnesota on BTN or the Fox Sports app. So you think about 7:30 if you're kind of planning ahead for Wednesday and getting ready to cheer on this Nebraska team. Again, has won 5 of 6, 6 of 8 down the stretch. And I think it's the first time they swept Iowa in Big Ten play since becoming Big Ten members. So a lot done today for Nebraska. We're kind of talking about it. It was a big just team effort in Nebraska. Shot well, did not rebound well, but were able to overcome it and get the victory today. Kind of moving into this Big Ten tournament. Of course, we have myself, Jake Bachman, Tom Stevens, and Eric Strickland here with us. We kind of talked about maybe projecting outward and thinking what this tournament's going to look like. Of course, we don't know what the seedings are because there's still a big logjam in the middle. We'll kind of figure that out. Nebraska, for what it's worth, will play the 5 seed if they beat Minnesota on Wednesday, and the 5 seed will be waiting there with their first round bye. But as we look into this, I mean, I'm just excited for, once we get to the NCAA tournament and those picks, that's going to be fun. But this Big Ten tournament, if Purdue gets knocked off at any point, it's literally anybody's ball game. And I would include Nebraska in that. Now, I don't expect them to make a one run for the NCAA tournament, but you've got it, or excuse me, for the Big Ten tournament title. But I mean, the way that they're playing, they're one of the hottest teams in the league. Didn't make it out of the Wednesday bracket like we wanted to before the season, like we kind of were saying before the season strict. But I think overall, if we kind of put a conclusion on this regular season, given all the battles, given how they finished, even though your goal entering the season was not to be playing on Wednesday, was this a successful season for Nebraska basketball?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. And you learned a lot about your team. But what you've done also is you've set what the standard is for every recruit or those who have been sitting out, those that have been redshirting. You've set the standard of what the expectation is. Now, going into this season, Bach, and Tom, there's a few things that we couldn't say. We couldn't say what the identity of this team was at all. Like, I didn't know what to say about the identity of the team. And I've talked about it that when we showed up in a gym, you knew what you were going to get. We're going to run you, we're going to be physical, and we're going to defend the heck out of you. You know, that's what you knew when my teams showed up back in the day. But that identity's been lost. You didn't know what the heck you were going to get from night to night. Sometimes you got it, but you know this team is hard-nosed. They'll hit the floor. They'll execute and run their offense, and they'll share the ball. You know what I mean? And they're going to defend. You know about 4 or 5 things that this team's going to do, and that's what I would say it's been a successful thing in season in doing as well as what their record came out to be.
It's weird because I really thought that the team we're seeing now over the last maybe 10 games is the team that I thought we'd see more often under Fred Hoiberg. The team we got at the start of the season, I didn't think we'd ever see a team like Gary and Bandamel and the black shirt attitude. They actually rewarded with black shirts before the season. And you kind of thought, well, okay, that's their identity. Defense first. And then the injuries happen. First to Bandamel, or first to Gary and then to Bandamel, and you're thinking, well, that identity is gone. And they still kind of kept a little bit of that while adding kind of what I think Fred wanted to do, have a team that can knock down threes, a lot of give and goes, maybe a facilitator. Maybe he didn't expect it to be Derek Walker, but I just thought this team would look the team that we see on a regular basis would be the team that we would see throughout the Hoiberg era, finally showing up. Kind of weird to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. And Strick, too, I wanted to get your thoughts on this because it has, I mean, we talked about this defensive-minded team, and I think you can still kind of see that from them. But you were, especially in midseason, kind of saying, man, they've got to get over this 63, 65 points they're getting. And now you look at their 5 of the last 6 wins, it's 73 points, 82 points, 70 points, 78 points, 81 points now today. Yeah. It may be the defense intensity or numbers are stepping back a little bit, and you're naturally going to happen when you lose 2 of your best defenders. But they've been able to turn that around on the offensive end. And is that what you think kind of has been key? And why did you kind of say that throughout the year? They just need to kind of score more and add that other element into it.
You're asking why did I feel that was?
Yeah, yeah, why did you feel like, because you had said it over and over, now that it's happened and we see the results of it, what kind of led you to believing they needed to kind of get their point total up?
Well, it was easier points, right? It wasn't it wasn't a thing that I didn't think they could score. I thought they needed to get easier points because it just seemed like everything was so difficult. Shooting changes that, because now you've got to come out on guys a little bit different. Now, Derek, you got to help out a little bit different because he was wearing you out. So there's some dynamics that change. Now, Jamarcus Lawrence is finding a rhythm, and he's doing it early. Those are the fun things you got to like about the team, is because they're getting early sparks. It's been Jamarcus usually that kind of gets them going, or Tamanaga. And once they get one of those guys and it kind of gets them settled, they hung around. As long as this team hangs around, I've got confidence now a little bit better that they can give themselves a shot to win. I just thought they needed to score more and give themselves easier opportunities, because they were facing your Zach Eady's, they were facing your Hunter Dickinson, they were facing all of these big guys, and they were settling and waiting to try to run offense. I'm like, wait a minute, you're not shooting the ball well. You've got to get to mid-range. CJ Wilcher started getting the mid-range and hitting. Hoiberg gets in there and starts hitting. It changes now how they got to defend you. So that was what I was hoping to see, and now they're making more shots. And they're pushing and probing, what you hear me say a lot too. They're pushing nothing, and guess who they're letting do that? They started with Jamarcus. And I'm telling you, if Jamarcus doesn't get in there, Vanderbilt wasn't doing that. Greasel definitely wasn't doing it. But so Jamarcus starts going, woo! Oh, there's nothing there? Okay, let me get back out here and let's run something. Now you're seeing Greasel, woo, to a post. You're seeing a lot of those different things now, and they're getting better opportunities.
How many more minutes do you guys want to go? Do you want to wind it up here? Or do you want to go another segment? I'm just here for the benefit of your pleasure, Bach, Strick.
I mean, other than probably hearing from some of the people, addressing a few people on the Sauter-Heyman text line, maybe. Yep. There's not much really we can talk about. Great game, great finish to the season. Shout out to the Huskers getting it done. Hopefully they can make a run.
I know when I'm not needed anymore. We usually do the Husker Rewind every night from 5 to 7. You know what? We're going to end the celebration on a high note. You can't get much higher than this.
That's right.
81-77, Nebraska beats Iowa in Iowa City today. They still, though, will have to play on Wednesday. You feel good about the matchup, you guys, Nebraska, Minnesota? You like it?
I like it. I think that's a good matchup for them.
Yeah.
Best one you can get in the league.
Yeah.
It feels like they're going to go to the NIT. I have an easy thought predicting that. But we'll talk to you down the road, Strick, Bach. We'll see you next week. Have a good show. The Hall of Famer, Eric Strickland, Jake Bachhoven. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Wall-to-wall wine and